guys, we're going to talk about two-step equations today. And the goal of any two-step equation is to get the variable by itself. So to do this, the first thing we want to do is isolate the variable. And isolate just means to get the variable alone by adding or subtracting on both sides. So in order to figure out which one we do, we look at the inverse operation. So if we have addition on the same side of the x, to cancel out that plus whatever, we would subtract it. What we do to one side, we do to the other. If we had subtraction, we would do the opposite, so we would add on both sides. It'll make more sense once we practice in a few minutes. All right. After we add or subtract, we're going to want to multiply or divide. And again, the way we pick which one we do is it's the inverse. So if we have multiplication, and multiplication is often in equations just a variable and a number next to each other, in that case we do division. If we had a fraction, which typically indicates division in these types of problems, we would do the opposite, so we would multiply. The last thing we always want to do is check. And the way we check two-step equations is we take what we got for x and we plug it into the equation, and then we use PEMDAS to simplify both sides. So for this example, we have 2x minus 1 equals 5. We're going to start by putting a big line down the middle. Now we're going to want to get that x by itself. So I'm going to put a highlight over the x. All right. So the first thing we want to do is add or subtract on both sides. We're looking to get that x alone, and the trick is we're going to move whatever is farthest from x. So we have this 2 and we have this minus 1. The minus 1 is further away from the x, so we're going to want to add it to both sides. We do to one side, we do to the other. This cancels out the 1, so we're left with just 2x, and then we have 5 plus 1 is 6. Now we have 2x equals 6. We still need to get that x alone. The 2 is preventing that x from being alone. Remember, when a variable and a number are touching each other, the operation is multiplication, and the inverse of operation to undo that is division. We divide both sides by 2. So that cancels out, and we get x equals 6 divided by 2 is 3. Now, to check that, what we want to do is write our original equation. 2x minus 1 equals 5. Except now everywhere we see an x, we're going to write what we got for an answer. In this case, we got 3, so we're going to plug in 3 for x and use PEMDAS. 2 times 3 is 6, minus 1 is 5. So 5 equals 5, and it checks out. Exercise 2, same idea. The first thing we want to do is draw that line down the equal sign. We're looking to get the x by itself. We want to move whatever is farthest from x first, which is the minus 6. The opposite of minus 6 is plus 6. So what we do to one side, we do to the other. So now the 6's cancel out, and we are left with just negative 3x equals negative 12 plus 6 is negative 6. To get x by itself now, we're going to divide both sides by the coefficient, the number in front of the x, which is 3. That cancels out, and we get x equals positive 2. Remember your integer rules, a negative divided by a negative. If those signs are the same, your answer is positive. To check it, you're going to write the original equation again. And anywhere you see an x, you're going to plug in what we got as an answer, which was 2. So we get negative 3 times 2 minus 6. Is that equal to negative 12? Use PEMDAS. Negative 3 times 2 is negative 6 minus 6 equals negative 12. We can change that. Our signs are the same, so we add. Take the sign of both numbers. Negative 12 equals negative 12, and it checks out. Now, a lot of students hate doing the checks, but the check is your cheat. If you get something that isn't true at the end, then you know that your answer was wrong, so you can go back and fix it. It's your cheat. It tells you if you're right or wrong. Alright, and last but not least, this one might intimidate you because it's got a fraction, but fear not, it's not that bad. Alright, so what you're going to do is you want to eliminate the 5 first, because the 5 is furthest from the x. We deal with addition and subtraction before multiplication and division. So we're left with 1/2 x equals 3 minus 5 is negative 2. So now we have our fraction to deal with. And the trick with the fraction is to get rid of a fraction coefficient, you want to multiply both sides by the reciprocal. The reciprocal is when you flip your fraction. So the bottom becomes the top becomes the bottom. So we multiply by 2 over 1, which cancels out. 2 over 1 is just the same thing as multiplying by 2. So we get x equals negative 4. And now we check. So we have 1/2 x plus 5 equals 3. Instead of x, we're going to plug in our answer, which in this case was negative 4. Plus 5 equals 3. 1/2 of negative 4 is negative 2. Plus 5 equals 3. Negative 2 plus 5 equals 3. 3 equals 3, and it checks out. Alright, and that's all I have for you today.